Welcome to the Effortless English Show with the world's #1 English teacher, AJ Hoge, where AJ's more than 40 million students worldwide finally learn English once and for all, without the boring textbooks, classrooms, and grammar drills. Here's AJ with a quick piece to help you learn to speak fluent English effortlessly.
Hi, I'm AJ Hoge, the author of Effortless English. Learn to speak English like a native. Join my VIP program and you will speak English powerfully, speak English fluently, speak English effortlessly, think in English. Be a confident English speaker. Train with my VIP program every month. Join my VIP program today. Join us at effortlessenglishclub.com. Go now to effortlessenglishclub.com. Welcome back. Took a break yesterday. Today, talking to you from a park here in Osaka, Japan. A very nice fall evening. Sun's just going down now. Days are getting a little shorter now. And the weather's nice and cool, wearing a long sleeve shirt today. The weather's changing now. Definitely summer is completely over, and we are definitely into fall. Of course, that makes sense. We're at the end of October. Nice weather. Fall weather is fantastic. Really great. Japan has very nice fall weather. Let's talk more about omens. This had a very good comment. I think it was Cleefy who brought it up. It was a question asking me about omens. How do I feel about omens and this idea of omens? Now remember, what is an omen? An omen is a sign. It's a sign. It kind of has a magical idea, right? Like it's kind of a magical sign that tells you what to do. It's a sign that something good is going to happen or bad. So, in general, it's a sign of good luck or bad luck. That's the idea. That's what an omen is. It's the idea that it's magical. Now, where does this omen come from? Well, people have different ideas. It depends on for some, it's a very religious idea. I gave the example before, the Vikings, some of my ancestors, they believed in omens. And they thought the gods, their gods, Odin and Thor and other gods, would try to communicate with them through omens, through signs, just things that would happen during the day. There were lots and lots and lots of different possible things. Just any kind of strange event they might see as a signal, as a message from the gods. I gave the example, for example, maybe a strange bird, or like a black bird or a white bird would suddenly appear or fly across or land somewhere, and they would, this is a sign, right? Trying to tell them to do something. Or maybe a tree would just suddenly fall down. They say, maybe that's an omen. It's a sign, something bad's going to happen. These are omens. Other cultures in different times in history, maybe they believed the omens came not from God or gods, but maybe from spirits, some kind of magical creatures. But always the same idea, that it's a message about good luck or bad luck, something good that's coming or something bad that's coming or that might come. And the Alchemist Coelho tells us to follow the omens. Follow the omens. And the idea is that, look for events or happenings, just strange or unusual things that happen, and that this is a sign to do something. So Cleefy asked me during our live book club show this last weekend, asked me what do I think about this idea that Paulo Coelho's talking about following signs, following omens, and do I think this is a good idea? And I mentioned in the show, my opinion generally is negative about this. I don't think it's generally a good idea to make decisions this way. It's kind of a superstition. And the problem is with these signs is, like I said in the show, they can make you crazy. If you really start looking for and believing in omens too much, if you really start doing that, it can make you crazy. Every unusual thing that happens in your life, you suddenly will get worried and you'll suddenly look for some big meaning. And we know from history that we look at these omens that they talk about from the past, and many times we'll think, oh, well, this is kind of crazy. Those guys were crazy. They were foolish. It's just a random event, right? Lightning strikes. It's just, we know it's just electricity, right? And we know it's how it works now. It's not a sign from the spirits, probably. So that's my general feeling. I think most modern people, we feel that way about this idea of omens. However, I was thinking more about it. Started thinking more about it the last couple days, and I did think of a way that omens can be very useful and positive. And I've used, actually, kind of like omens, I've used many times in my life. I still use them. What am I talking about? I don't think of them as magical, but rather I think of omens as a useful tool, Tool, as a useful tool for creativity. This is how I use omens. I use them to help me think more creatively. Not for superstition, not from fear, not with a magical idea, but for creativity. Let me explain how you can do this and how it can be useful. As you know, many times, you and I, we get stuck, mentally stuck, right? We have habits. We have habits of action every day, which is fine. Most of those are useful. We also have habits of thinking. Again, many of these can be useful. The problem is that we can sometimes get stuck. We can be trapped by our mental habits, especially when we face a new or difficult problem or challenge or goal or mission. When we're needing to think differently and act differently. And sometimes we feel very frustrated because we're stuck. We just can't think of anything new. We can't think creatively. We're really having a hard time thinking creatively. Well, let's imagine you're stuck in your job. Let's say you're at a job, you don't like your job. So you go to this job every day, you're bored with it, you don't like it, you want to do something else. Maybe start a business, maybe change careers, but you can't think of what should I do? I don't know. And you try to think about it, and you keep thinking about the same, 2, 3, 4 ideas. But none of the ideas are very good. You don't really like any of those ideas. And you keep thinking and thinking and thinking, but you just can't find a good idea, a good solution. You're stuck. You're stuck with the same old thinking. Your thinking is too limited, right? Too narrow. And you need to think more creatively. You need to be more creative, but how to do that? How do you make yourself become creative? It's not so easy, right? Artists and musicians, writers, anyone in a creative job or even hobby have the same problem. A writer sits down to write a story. They want to write a creative, interesting story, but then they look at the paper, and they can't think of anything. Every idea seems old, not interesting. Same problem. Well, how do you think more creatively? How do you get newer ideas? How do you make your mind do that? Well, it's not easy. It's not easy, but I find that actually omens can be a very useful way to do this. Like I said, I don't believe there's some magical sign. I don't want to use them from fear. Like, oh no, I saw a black bird. Now I'm going to stay in my house all day. That makes you crazy. Okay. But what I do like is when I have a problem where I need to think creatively, then I will use omens to give me random information to break my mental pattern. Right? Sometimes we call this thinking in circles. You're thinking in circles. You just can't escape. You just keep thinking of the same things again and again and again, and you need to break that. Some people call this thinking inside the box. Inside the box. Inside the box means inside lines, right? You're just stuck in this with the same thinking. You can't get out of it. Well, a great way to think more creatively is to jolt, to kind of surprise your brain with new information. Here's how you do it. Step 1. Ask questions. You need to ask some questions, whatever your problem is. Let's use the example of career. So you want to write down a few questions about career. What is the problem? What are you trying to answer? So for example, what would be a more interesting and fun career for me? Or what new job or career should I try? Or what kind of business should I try? And so you write down those questions. One or more, it doesn't matter. And number 2, you can do normal brainstorming and write down your ideas about this, but maybe they're not very creative because you're kind of stuck mentally. So here's how you use omens. What you need to do is you need some random information to answer the questions. Then you get that random answer, an omen, for example, and then you have to figure out the meaning of the omen. What does this mean? And this will basically force you to think creatively. There are many ways to do this. Let me give you some examples, some specific examples. So we have the same question, which, what career should I try? What job should I try? What would be a good career for me, a new career? And you think, and I don't know. Same answers. So you use an omen instead. There are different ways to do this. You could just wait as you walk around during the day and wait for something unusual to happen. Wait for something to just suddenly happen that's unusual. Could be anything. Maybe you suddenly meet a new person. Maybe some strange animal runs across the road in front of you, or you see an animal you don't usually see. Another way you can do this, an easy way, is to get a dictionary and just open it to any page, just randomly, just open it suddenly and just drop your finger and just find a word. You're not looking for a word. You just open it, you drop your finger down, and then boom, there's a word. It'll be a random word. You have no idea what word this will be. Let's say you open it up, boom, and you drop it down, and you get the word dirt, D-I-R-T, dirt. That's the answer to your question. This is just a game. Remember, it's not serious. This is not magic. This is just a creative game you're playing to make your mind more creative. So you think, okay, the question is, what new job should I try? And then your answer is, with your omen, you open the dictionary, you put your finger down, and the answer is dirt. Well, obviously that doesn't give you a direct answer to your question. This is why you'll now have to think creatively. So the next part, step 3, is you think, well, what does dirt mean? How is this the answer to my question? The question is, what career should I try? What job should I try? And the answer is dirt. What does that mean? And now you got to start thinking more creatively, because you're thinking dirt. Well, maybe farmer. Maybe it's farmer. Oh, maybe it just means like work outdoors, be a outdoor guide. Maybe be a travel guide. And you just start writing down, brainstorming answers, just writing down every answer you can. When you keep thinking, ask the question, and then the answer is dirt. What does this mean, dirt? Maybe it means you need to get dirty. You need a job that's more physical, that's not so clean. It's not an office job. I don't know, right? You just start writing down lots of ideas. Try to make a whole page full of ideas. Just anything that pops into your head after you think about the word dirt to answer your question. Well, this doesn't always work, but many times you'll get more creative answers to think about for your question or your problem. This random word, right, just totally by chance, this random word will force your brain to think in a different way. It breaks your mental habit. It forces you to start thinking in stranger ways, more in different ways, making different connections. And of course, the same thing can happen if you use an omen in the outside world, waiting for something to happen. You wait, maybe a few days, and then you meet some strange person suddenly in a coffee shop, and they start talking to you, and they start talking to you, and they love cats, and you have this conversation with them about cats, and then after it, you think, okay, that's the omen. Meeting this person is the omen, and they talked about cats. So cats is the answer to my question. Again, this is very strange. Maybe you don't even like cats. So now you have to think very creatively. How is the answer cats? What does this mean? Cats. What job should I have? What job should I try? Cats. Should I be an animal doctor? No, I don't want to do that. Should I take care of cats? No, I don't like taking care of cats. But cats are very graceful. They're very graceful. Maybe using my body in some way, something more physical. Or cats are hunters. They hunt mice, they hunt animals. Maybe being a hunter. You just keep going. Just let all the crazy ideas keep coming, and writing them down. And you make a big long list of ideas. Keep thinking of cats. What does this mean? And then you'll have a big page full of more creative ideas. Now, of course, each idea will not be good. Some of them will be crazy. Some will be foolish. Some you're not interested in at all. That's not the point. The point is just to get your brain thinking in a new way, a more creative way, right? Get out of your little thinking circle. Think outside the box. That's an idiom in English. Think outside the box, right? You break your old way of thinking, and you start thinking in new and weird and different ways. So that's how omens can indeed be very useful and indeed very powerful as a tool for creativity. So when I read The Alchemist and he's talking about omens, now Coelho has this magical thinking. I know this from reading some of his other books. Coelho is definitely kind of a superstitious guy. He definitely has this magical type of thinking. I don't agree with it. I don't like that, but it's okay. No, it's when we read something, even a good book, we're not usually going to 100% agree with every single thing. We don't need to agree with every message 100%. We can still learn from and enjoy many different books, many different writers. A lot of my favorite writers, I don't agree with everything they wrote. Or if I know about their life, I don't agree with everything they did in their life. That doesn't matter. I love Jack Kerouac's books, but he was an alcoholic. So obviously, that part, his problems with alcohol and somewhat with drugs, I obviously don't see as positive. Don't agree with. I don't recommend. But that doesn't matter. There's still many things in his books that I enjoy a lot. His love of travel, his freedom, writing about America, many other things. Same with Hemingway and many other writers. So it's okay. We don't have to agree with Coelho about everything. And maybe you do agree with him about this magical thinking, and that's okay too. But for me, I don't. However, when I read The Alchemist, I still can find some meaning, something useful from this idea of omens. And so for me, I still see omens as useful, but just more, I think of them more psychologically. That they are a psychological tool for creativity. So when Santiago has an omen, for example, he meets somebody new suddenly. Well, number one, that's maybe a sign that he can learn something. So that does have some meaning. It's an opportunity for him to learn from someone else and to contribute also, which is great. And it can also be seen as kind of an omen that, changes his brain. And in fact, people are the most powerful omens, right? Other people. Because if you think about your own life, I imagine that meeting a new person, and especially like a new friend or someone who influences you, this can change your life in a big, big way. I'll give you an example from my own life. A really clear example. Back when I was younger, about 26, I was thinking of traveling. I wanted to travel outside of America for the first time. I had never left America, never traveled before. Outside America, at least. So I was trying to think, where should I go? Where should I go? Where should I go? I want to go someplace interesting. I want to go to a place that's very different than America. I need a challenge. But I didn't know. And then I met one day, in fact, in my little town, I met an old acquaintance. Not really a friend, but a guy I knew. Had not seen him for a long time. And then I suddenly bumped into him, saw him. Hey, how you doing? And we sat down and we talked for a while. And he told me about his travels to India. He told me several of his travel stories, and I became very excited. It sounded amazing and so interesting. Exactly what I was looking for. Very different, challenging, colorful, interesting, all these things. And so right then I realized, India, that's where I should go. I should go to India. And immediately I went home and started to research India, bought a travel book about India, and I decided India. So we could think, maybe that's kind of an omen, meeting that guy. And in that kind of way, yes, we could even think of it in a spiritual way, that maybe something spiritual, God or angels or whatever your belief, the universe, the Tao, the Dharma maybe is guiding us in this way, or helping us a little bit by helping us to meet certain people or to have certain experiences. So yes, I support that. You just have to be careful. Don't Don't let every little small thing that happens make you afraid. I think that's the big thing about omens. The danger of omens is that, at least in the past, we know people would view them with fear. So they were often used to make our fears worse and worse and worse. And that's when you view omens in a fearful way, that's where it can lead you to a lot of unhappiness, I think. But if you just view it as more like a support, an opportunity for learning, an opportunity for thinking more creatively, learning about or connecting with new people, new ideas, new solutions, I think that's all very positive, right? So it's really the mindset, as usual. It's the mindset we have about these things. So I would just encourage you, for sure, you can have this mindset, and even in a spiritual way of God or the Tao or whatever, giving you a little bit of help, right? Supporting you is what the Alchemist Coelho says, that the universe will support you when you are on the right path. And this is how the universe supports you, by kind of helping you get more and more and more and more opportunities for learning, for growing, for becoming stronger, becoming wiser, meeting the people that will be helpful to you, that kind of thing. Or sometimes meeting the people who will challenge you and give you problems so that you can learn to be stronger and smarter and wiser. So, creativity, support, positive mentality about omens, I think perfectly fine. Moving on, travel. Speaking of travel, I'm going to be traveling next month. Got a couple trips planned. Finally getting out of the darn city. Oh, I have city fatigue. Meaning I'm tired of the city. Cities are okay, but I'm really not a big city person. I have talked about in past podcasts how Japanese cities are very nice. Nicer than American cities, in my opinion. With the people, although they are a bit ugly, unfortunately. Concrete. But overall, I like to kind of live in a medium size or large town. That's my perfect size for living. I like some place that's big enough that it's interesting. So there's some interesting things. You got some restaurants. You have some interesting activities and things to do. But not too big, not like a city. And it's small enough that there's still some nature. There's still trees, and it's a more slow and relaxed life. Kind of in the middle, not the far countryside and not the big city. Something kind of in the middle is what I usually enjoy most. That's my hometown, Athens, Georgia, is exactly like that. But for various reasons, or different reasons, I have been living in cities for the past 15 years. Fairly big cities. Osaka's a big city. I lived in Kyoto, a big city. San Francisco, Bangkok. So what happens to me when I'm in a city, living in a city, is that usually after a few months, after about 3 or 4 months, something like that, I really start to get like feeling I gotta get out, I need some nature. I've been feeling that way for a while because I haven't gotten out of the city for a while. So finally next month, we are getting out to some beautiful nature. Gonna go to a beach for a week, a tropical island. Sounds so great. Swim around in the ocean. Fantastic. And then after that, come back to Japan, and we're doing a hike. We're going to go hiking in the mountains south of us, the southern Kansai area of Japan. looks beautiful. This will be our first time going to this area, but I've seen some pictures. It looks beautiful, beautiful. There's a whole system of trails down there that are kind of famous, very, very old. Another old pilgrimage area, in fact. I've talked about pilgrimages before. The Camino de Santiago, Christian pilgrimage. Mecca, of course, the famous Islamic pilgrimage. Varanasi and various Hindu pilgrimages. Bodh Gaya for Buddhists. Shikoku here in Japan is a Buddhist pilgrimage. Well, this one is called the Kumano Kodo. Kumano Kodo, which means, I think it's something like the Bear Road. Maybe some bears up there. Anyway, this is a very old pilgrimage. I mean, it's like a religious path. And it's Shinto. A Shinto. So this path connects Shinto shrines. Shinto is very interesting. Shinto is the old religion of Japan before Buddhism. It's kind of the nature religion. An old religion of Japan. And I am not an expert on Shintoism. It's a little complicated. I don't understand it all. But the basic idea of Shintoism, there are lots of spirits, usually nature spirits. So, for example, there might be a tree spirit and a river spirit, and like lots and lots of spirits. In fact, if you have seen Miyazaki's anime of Spirited Away is the English name, Spirited Away. The Japanese is Sen no Chihiro. That anime movie, there's a lot of Shinto influence. In fact, I'd say several of Miyazaki's movies have a kind of a Shinto influence, right? This idea of nature spirits. In that one, there's the little girl, and she goes into this kind of magical village, right? Her parents become pigs, and she goes to this magical village, and it's like a magical onsen, like a bathhouse. And it's a bathhouse for spirits, for nature spirits, and there are lots and lots of these spirits come and visiting this bathhouse to take a bath. There's a radish spirit, and one of the main characters is a river spirit. It's not exactly a Shinto movie, but it's influenced by, right, this culture, this very old Japanese culture of Shintoism. Now, Japanese people, you'll have to explain more of Shintoism because that's about all I know, unfortunately. Anyway, the Kumano Kodo, this system of paths in the mountains, is a very old Shinto pilgrimage. What's interesting about this one is it's really a flexible one. One thing I like about this is that it's not a direct path. So, for example, the Camino de Santiago. Typically, it's a direct path. There are different versions of the Camino, but there's one thing you're going to. You're going to Santiago, and typically the most popular one is the Camino Frances. You start at Saint-Jean in France, and you walk a very specific path all the way to Santiago. Or you can start in different places. But it's one specific path, or at least several specific paths. The Shikoku pilgrimage in Japan is the same idea. You start at Temple 1, you follow a very specific path, visiting all the temples until the end, Temple 88. But this one is really, it's like a web of trails and paths in the mountain with several shrines. I think there are 3 or 4 big main Shinto shrines that you visit, but there's possible to visit many other ones. And so there are many choices, many options for the Kumano Kodo. This is great because it's flexible. You can make it very short. You could just do 4 days visiting the main 3 big Shinto shrines. I think that one can be done in 4 days, 4 or 5 days. One section. You could, add more sections and make it into a 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I think if you did all of the different sections, it would be something like 1 month total. You'd have to circle around and do lots of different paths, but there's so many little paths that go in all different directions. If you did all of them, probably you need about 4 weeks, I'm guessing. We're planning to do somewhere between 2 to 3 weeks. So we're trying to figure out, we don't know exactly yet. We're trying to figure out where we're going to start and then the path we'll go to. But I'm guessing we want something around 2 to 3 weeks. Just get out into nature, into the mountains, big trees, away from the city, away from the noise, all that stuff. I need it. This heals your soul, Nature is so healing, just to get out away from basically away from civilization. It doesn't really matter. Get out to the desert, get out to the mountains, get out to the ocean, up into the mountains and the trees. Just get away from all the noise and complexity. And breathe that fresh air just out in nature. I love it. So I'll be doing that, and I'll tell you more about it. The second good point about this is that the Kumano Kodo will be nice training for my birthday challenge, right? We're going to be walking every day. We haven't been training, so we're not going to do long days. We'll probably walk about 4.5 hours each day of walking with breaks in between. That's still pretty good. That'll help me start preparing for that birthday challenge. Okay, well, it is getting dark, and it is just starting to rain here, so I'm going to walk back home. Let me know again on gab.com, gab.com. Follow me, AJ Hoge. Let me know if you are joining me for the birthday challenge. Several people are. We have someone in, Egypt, who's going to walk to the Great Pyramids. That's cool. That's probably the winner for the best place so far. We've got someone in Italy. I don't know where exactly. Where else? Of course, I'm in Japan. I'll be doing it in Japan. So anyway, let me know. Let me know if you're doing it, and let me know where you are. All right, I'm going to go now so I don't get wet. Have a great evening, and as always, join my VIP program. Join my VIP program. Speak English powerfully and fluently. Think in English. Go to effortlessenglishclub.com. Go now to effortlessenglishclub.com, effortlessenglishclub.com.